Minutes of the Council of Ministers meeting on Wednesday, March 5, 2025. The Council of Ministers met in Ouagadougou on Wednesday, March 5, 2025, in an ordinary session from 9 a.m. to 1:21 p.m., under the presidency of Captain Ibrahim TRAORE, President of Faso and President of the Council of Ministers. The Council deliberated on items on its agenda, heard oral communications, proceeded with appointments, and authorized foreign missions. Deliberations. I point 1 under the Ministry of Economy and Finance. The Council adopted three reports. First report, authorization to conclude a contract through direct negotiation. The Council approved the conclusion of a contract with the Consortium Conciergerie Africa Business, CAB, Sahel Tindaogo Inter, TDG Inter Sahel, for the completion of the construction of the main building to house the Bobo 3 Tax Center Directorate and the Bobo Land One-Stop Shop Directorate. The contract amount is 753,825,472 CFA francs, all taxes included, with an execution period of 8 months. Funding is provided by the 2025 budget of the General Directorate of Taxes Equipment Fund. Second report, authorization to award contracts through direct negotiation for the rehabilitation of the buildings of the Regional Treasury of Hauts-Bassins and the construction of counters for the Treasury Deposit Bank, BDT. The Council approved the award of contracts through direct negotiation with Prestige, multi-services for the rehabilitation of all buildings, estimated at 944,712,695 CFA francs, all taxes included, and the construction of Treasury Deposit Bank, counters for 203,963,251 CFA francs, all taxes included, with an execution period of 5 months. Impact Ingénierie et Conseil for the supervision and control of the rehabilitation of all buildings, estimated at 35,899,080 CFA francs, all taxes included, and the supervision and control of the construction of Treasury Deposit Bank, counters for 7,650,820 CFA francs, all taxes included, with an execution period of 6 months. Funding is provided by the state budget and the 2025 Equipment Fund of the General Directorate of Treasury and Public Accounting, DGTCP. Third report, ordinance authorizing the ratification of a loan agreement signed on February 11, 2025, between Burkina Faso and the OPEC Fund for International Development, OFID, for the financing of the Human Capital Protection Project. The loan amount is 18 billion CFA francs and will support the government's efforts to provide essential social services, particularly in the health and education sectors. Expected outcomes of the project include free consultations for 1,840,000 women in 2025, free consultations for 2,070,000 children under 5 years old in 2025, pentavalent vaccine coverage for 97% of children, certification for 98% of teachers, annual exams for 96% of students. The adoption of this report allows for the ratification of the loan agreement by ordinance, in accordance with Law No. 40-2024/ALT of December 20, 2024, authorizing the government to ratify financing agreements and conventions signed between Burkina Faso and technical and financial partners. 1.2. Under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Cooperation and Burkinabés Abroad. The Council adopted 4 reports. First report, approval for the appointment of an extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of the Republic of Niger to Burkina Faso. The Council approved the appointment of Mr. Boubacar Hassan as extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of the Republic of Niger to Burkina Faso, with residence in Ouagadougou. Second report, approval for the appointment of an extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Burkina Faso. The Council approved the appointment of Mrs. Feriba Duigu Hokachi Esirgen as extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Burkina Faso, with residence in Ouagadougou. Third report, approval for the appointment of an apostolic nuncio to Burkina Faso. The Council approved the appointment of an apostolic nuncio to Burkina Faso, with residence in Ouagadougou. Fourth report, draft law approving the treaty establishing the Confederation of Sahel States, adopted on July 6, 2024, in Niamey. The Confederation of Sahel States, AES, is a historic strategic framework for cooperation between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. It allows member states to intensify their cooperation in the fight against terrorism and the consolidation of peace in the AES region by pooling their efforts in defense and security. Article 25 of the treaty, establishing the Confederation of Sahel States, provides that the treaty must be ratified by each of the 3 member states for its provisions to take full effect. The approval of the treaty will allow Burkina Faso to proceed with the ratification of this legal instrument. The Council approved the transmission of the draft law to the Transitional Legislative Assembly. 1.3. Under the Ministry of Justice and Human Rights, in charge of relations with institutions, the Council adopted a decree amending Decree Number 0013/Pres/PM/MJDHRI of January 23, 2025, on sentence remissions, on the occasion of January 1, 2025. The decree on sentence remissions for January 1, 2025, was adopted by the Council of Ministers during its session on December 26, 2024. However, during its application, it was found that 9 detainees were not eligible, hence the amendment, to align the decree with the predefined conditions for benefiting from the President of Faso's pardon. The adoption of this decree allows for the removal of nine names from the list of detainees benefiting from sentence remission on January 1, 2025. The list of affected individuals will be published in the Official Journal of Burkina Faso. 1.4. Under the Ministry of Digital Transition, Posts, and Electronic Communications. The Council adopted a decree on the conditions and procedures for granting, renewing, and withdrawing technical approvals for information system security. This decree aims to implement Law Number 014-2024 of July 9, 2024 on information system security in Burkina Faso. Information and communication technologies, ICT, are a powerful driver of economic and societal transformation. Hyperconnectivity affects all countries and represents tremendous opportunities for building sustainable economic growth, particularly for African countries, especially Burkina Faso. However, measures must be taken to ensure positive externalities and impacts for the Burkinabe economy and society. The decree aims to regulate the market for the commercialization of cybersecurity hardware and software, and to ensure better protection of our cyberspace. It now requires professionals in this field to obtain approval for the legal exercise of their activities. The adoption of this decree regulates the import and sale of hardware or software intended for information system security in accordance with Law Number 014-2024/ALT of July 9, 2024 on information system security in Burkina Faso. 1.5. Under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Handicrafts, the Council adopted 4 reports. First report, acquisition of the Tema Multipurpose Terminal Hydrocarbon Depot in Ghana, owned by Blue Ocean Investment Limited. As part of the government's energy policy, the National Hydrocarbon Company of Burkina Faso, SONAB Hawaii, has been tasked with ensuring the supply of hydrocarbons to Burkina Faso. The objective is to make hydrocarbons accessible to all and throughout the country. It is therefore imperative to have storage infrastructure capable of accommodating sufficient volumes to guarantee the country's energy security, hence the interest in acquiring at least one depot outside Burkina Faso. The acquisition of the Tema Multipurpose Terminal Depot offers several opportunities, including providing Burkina Faso with a strategic operational depot well known to SONAB and its partners, the ability to directly and easily receive products from new partner countries due to increased external storage capacity. The ability to redirect deliveries to a Sonabai-owned depot in case of difficulties in other corridors. Cost savings by reducing services requested from third-party depots. The total cost of the acquisition is $70 million. The Council approved the acquisition of the Tema Multi-Purpose Terminal Hydrocarbon Depot in Ghana to increase Sonabai's storage capacity. Second report, draft decree on the dissolution without liquidation of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, MEBF, a recognized public utility association. The government of Burkina Faso has initiated, as part of the state's refoundation, a reform of the institutional landscape of the private sector to improve the efficiency of public policies and the business climate to meet the new development ambitions of the country. Reforms of all strategic structures responsible for promoting the private sector under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Handicrafts have been undertaken. These reforms concern the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Burkina Faso, CCIBF, and the Chamber of Handicrafts of Burkina Faso, CMABF, to make them more efficient and improve their institutional anchoring in line with Burkina Faso's new vision of sovereignty. The Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, MEBF, a specialized structure of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Burkina Faso, is an association created in 2002 and recognized as a public utility on April 19, 2010, by Decree Number 2010-180/Pres/PM/MATD/MEF. It is delegated certain administrative missions through structures entrusted to its management, including the Business Formalities Center, C4. This legal form of association constitutes a weakness in the institutional chain responsible for implementing the government's private sector promotion policy. The decree aims to transform the legal form of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso from an association to a more appropriate public law form. The adoption of this decree allows for the dissolution without liquidation of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, with the transfer of its assets, rights, and obligations to the state. Third report, draft decree establishing a public professional institution called Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, MEBF. The creation of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso as a public professional institution, EPP, aims, among other things, to reaffirm the state's sovereign role in coordinating sectors with a strong public service dominance, improve the governance of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, improve the financial management of the MEBF, establish a grouping of entrepreneurs pursuing common objectives of strengthening the national economic fabric, preserve jobs by maintaining staff. The adoption of this decree allows for the creation of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso as a public professional institution of the state. Fourth report, draft decree approving the specific statutes of the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso, MEBF. The adoption of this decree allows the Maison de l'Entreprise du Burkina Faso to adopt regulatory texts to fulfill its missions, in accordance with Decree Number 2014-611/Pres/PM/MEF of July 24, 2014, on the General Statutes of Public Professional Institutions of the State. 1.6. Under the Ministry of Infrastructures and Opening Up, the Council adopted two reports. First report, validation of the synoptic sheet of the Sikasso-Korhogo-Bobo-Dioulasso (SKBO) project. The Sikasso-Korhogo-Bobo-Dioulasso project involves the construction and paving of a total of approximately 115 kilometers of roads, Banfora O section, and the construction of 150 kilometers of rural tracks. It also includes the creation and equipping of 4 roadwork brigades and the rehabilitation of 51 kilometers of railway. The project, lasting for 4 years, aims to open up the Sikasso-Korhogo-Bobo-Dioulasso border integration basin by improving multimodal connectivity and supporting value chains and regional trade. The implementation of this project will benefit the populations of urban and rural municipalities in the regions located on either side of the Banfora-Ouagadougou-Ogawa road axis and the Ouagadougou Ivory Coast border railway axis. The total cost of the project is estimated at 126.87 billion CFA francs. funded by the Burkina Faso state and the World Bank. The validation of the synoptic sheet of the Sikasso-Korhogo-Bobo-Dioulasso Project initiates the process of mobilizing resources from the technical and financial partner for its implementation. Second report, validation of the synoptic sheet of the Infrastructure Rehabilitation Project to support the economy. This project aims, among other things, to establish resilient infrastructure for sustainable industrialization, open up cities and municipalities, ensure food security, promote sustainable agriculture, and empower women and girls in the project area. The implementation of this project will, among other things, partially finance, through direct management, the construction and paving of the RN13 Ouagadougou section, create and equip 5 roadwork brigades, rehabilitate the 10 Kodogo-Garango section of the RN17, rehabilitate the Niorida-Griba-Manga section of the RN29, construct and pave the Ouagadougou section of the RN11, construct and pave the Cordier-Boussay section of the RR13. The total cost of the project is estimated at 129.2 billion CFA francs, funded by the Burkina Faso state and the Islamic Development Bank, IDB. The validation of the synoptic sheet of the Infrastructure Rehabilitation Project to support the economy initiates the process of mobilizing resources from the technical and financial partner for its implementation. Oral Communications 11.1. The Minister of State, Minister of Defense and Veterans, made a communication to the Council regarding the organization of the second edition of the International Synergy Security, Defense and Safety Exhibition, SISDEF, in Ouagadougou from May 8 to 10, 2025. SISDEF is an arms exhibition that brings together key decision-makers and leaders in the defense, security, and civil protection industries. It allows exhibitors to present their cutting-edge technologies and products to defense industry professionals and aims to strengthen cooperation among participants and establish fruitful alliances and partnerships. SISDEF is also a forum for geopolitical reflection on current and future trends. Under the high patronage of the President of Faso, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, the second edition of this exhibition will feature a day dedicated to the Confederation of Sahel States, S. 11th. The Minister of Communication, Culture, Arts and Tourism made a communication to the Council regarding the organization of the 5th edition of the Nuit de l'Ompolo on October 24, 2025, at the National Center for Arts, Performance and Audiovisual, SENASA. The Nuit de l'Ompolo is an opportunity to reward and recognize the merit of actors, professionals and structures involved in dramatic arts, theater, storytelling, humor, circus and puppetry. The major innovations of the 5th edition of the Nuit de l'Ompolo include opening the competitions to actors and companies from other member states of the Sahel States Alliance, Mali and Niger, including circus and puppetry in the individual awards category, and increasing the number of awards from 21 in 2024 to 27 in 2025. Opening the competition to actors and companies from other AES member states aims to make dramatic arts a vector of integration and community cooperation within the region. 3 new awards have been established: the AES Award for Best Awareness Performance, the AES Award for Best Integration Performance, and the AES Award for Best Dramatic Arts Author. 11th of March. The Minister of Sports, Youth and Employment made several communications to the Council, including a communication regarding the organization of the 6th edition of the Schools for Training Sports Talents, E4's, competition, scheduled from June 22nd to 29th, 2025, in Ouagadougou. The EFOR's competition aims to improve the quality of training for young athletes from these schools and will bring together 26 sports talent training schools from the 13 regions of Burkina Faso. A communication regarding the organization of the Burkina Faso School and University Sports Union, USSUBF, competitions for the 2024 to 2025 season. The USSUBF competitions aim to identify or nurture talents who can be directed toward competitive sports in the civil sector. The organization of the USSUBF contributes to promoting moral and intellectual values such as teamwork, fair play, respect for others and rules, cooperation, discipline, and tolerance. The competitions are organized in seven sports disciplines: football, handball, basketball, volleyball, athletics, judo, and wrestling. The official opening of the 2024 to 2025 sports season took place on January 31st, 2025, and the competitions will continue until July 2025. For the 2024 to 2025 season, the USSU-BF competitions include the participation of 550 schools, universities, and grandes écoles from 40 provinces of Burkina Faso. Appointments. 3.1. Individual appointments are under the Presidency of Faso. Mr. Kassoum Coulibaly, General Officer, is appointed Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ambassador of Burkina Faso to Washington, United States of America. B. Under the Prime Ministry, Mr. Managasomde, SAMA, registration number 324,497G, Foreign Affairs Advisor, First Class, Second Level, is appointed Director of Protocol. C. Under the Ministry of Defense and Veterans. Mr. Moussa Diallo, General Officer, is appointed Head of the Preparation and Deployment of Forces Budget Program, concurrently with his duties as Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces. Mr. Yves Barema Bardo, Officer, is appointed Head of the Management and Support of Ministry Structures Budget Program, concurrently with his duties as Director General of Sectoral Studies and Statistics. Mr. Ahmed Triande, Officer, is appointed Head of the Defense Allocation Budget Program, concurrently with his duties as Central Director of Military Logistics. D. Under the Ministry of Economy and Finance, Mrs. Hamapi Dit Emily Ouagadougou/Tammany, registration number 119,292T, Treasury Inspector, First Class, 9th Level, is appointed Attorney at the Council of State and the Court of Cassation, with residence at the Council of State. E. Under the Ministry of Security, Mr. Gerard Tarbangdo, registration number 111,484K, Divisional Police Commissioner, Category 1, 3rd Class, 4th Level, is appointed Director General of the Police Academy. Mr. Sana Emile Kafando, registration number 31,738A, Divisional Police Commissioner, Category 1, 3rd Grade, 1st Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Burema Ouedraogo, registration number 119,420 volts, Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Grade, 2nd Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Issouf Awatara, registration number 107,222 East, Principal Police Commissioner, 2nd Class, 3rd Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Mark Dakuyo, registration number 211,708X, Divisional Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Soumaila Traoré, registration number 102,429 million, Principal Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Class, 4th Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Lassane Zida, registration number 102,427X, Principal Police Commissioner, Category 1, 3rd Class, 4th Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Wanhinduba Yemien, registration number 31,736 North, Divisional Commissioner, Category 1, 3rd Class, 1st Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Lassane Nabol, registration number 111,465X, Principal Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Class, 4th Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Bukari Kiemde, registration number 211,711T, Principal Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Class, 2nd Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. Mr. Yakuba Kabor, registration number 107,219D, Principal Police Commissioner, Category 1, 2nd Class, 2nd Level, is appointed Technical Inspector. F. Under the Ministry of Humanitarian Action and National Solidarity, Mr. Wenmanagre Michael Nitiema, Officer, is appointed Chief of Staff. Mr. Emile Zabsonre, registration number 41,063, Social Affairs Administrator, 1st Class, 10th Level, is appointed Secretary General. G. Under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Handicrafts. Mr. Olivier Kima, registration number 118,698M. Economist, first class, 9th level, is appointed technical advisor. H. Under the Ministry of Basic Education, Literacy and Promotion of National Languages, Mr. Noe Bado, registration number 94,895H, certified teacher, first class, 10th level, is appointed mission officer. Mr. Yakuba Barry, registration number 27,490W, principal teacher, first class, 13th level, is appointed mission officer. I. Under the Ministry of Environment, Water and Sanitation, Mr. Germain Kuka, Ouagadougou, registration number 42,869F, Senior Water and Forestry. Inspector, first class, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kadiogo. Mr. Idrissa Sanu, registration number 47,819 West, Senior Inspector, Category 1A, 1st level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Ouagadougou. Mr. Akile Atio, registration number 94,545C, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 2nd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Komonjari. Mr. Ibrahim Tiombiano, registration number 241,483E, Water and Forestry. Inspector, 2nd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kompienga. Mr. Hamidou Dayamba, registration number 94,492M, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1A, 4th level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kosi. Mr. Haruna Dera, registration number 94,493A, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kulpelago. Mr. Sumaila Kome, registration number 94,616P, Water and Forestry. Inspector, Category 1, 4th level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kuritenga. Mr. Tassere Ouedraogo, registration number 59,139, U Water and Forestry. Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Kurweogo. Mr. Haruna Sandwidi, registration number 231,778B, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Leraba. Mr. Isso Kindo, registration number 94,490X, Senior Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 1st level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Laroum. Mr. Sami Dabire, registration number 46,093T, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Mohaun. Mr. Daouda Traore, registration number 238,052Y, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Nahuri. Mr. Wengnagde Oscar Cabre, registration number 109, 164P, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Namentenga. Mr. Desiree Vonya, registration number 2, 147,741 litres, Water and Forestry. Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Nyala. Mr. Athanas Didier Bamouni, registration number 109,215C, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 1st class, 2nd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Numbiel. Mrs. Charlene Lawali, Serima To, registration number 3, 127,604F, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, 4th level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Ubritenga. Mr. Drissa Bantz, registration number 271,288A, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Pasore. Mr. Sogotere Rodrigue Konate, registration number 94,620P, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1A, 3rd level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for Sangier. Mr. Toussaint Bationo, registration number 46,150, X, Water and Forestry Inspector, Category 1, A, 3rd grade, 1st level, is appointed Provincial Director of Water and Forestry for San Matenga. J, under the Ministry of Urban Planning and Housing, Mr. Nabon Alain Basoli, registration number 116,993U, Human Resources Manager, 1st class, 7th level, is appointed Director of Institutional Development and Innovation. K, under the Ministry of Sports, Youth and Employment, Mrs. Mariam Tanu, registration number 231,300T, Research and Analysis Officer, 1st class, 4th level, is appointed Head of the Management and Support Budget Program, concurrently with her duties as Director General of Sectoral Studies and Statistics. Mr. Mumuni Neon, registration number 227,630F, Certified Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 8th level, is appointed Secretary General of Burkina Yin Wisger Meta, BYM. Mr. Sumaila Sissi, registration number 220,349X, Youth and Lifelong Education Advisor, 1st class, 7th level, is appointed Director of Foresight, Planning and Monitoring Evaluation. Mr. Herman Nabayaugo, registration number 334,248 North, Financial Services Administrator, 1st class, 3rd level, is appointed Director of Project and Program Coordination and Partnerships. Mr. Lassane Kologo, registration number 210,954. A, Youth and Lifelong Education Advisor, 1st class, 8th level, is appointed Director of Youth Infrastructure Promotion. Mrs. Isabel B. ADO, registration number 258,075M, Youth and Lifelong Education. Advisor, 1st class, 6th level, is appointed Director of Entrepreneurship and Youth Empowerment Promotion. Mr. Olo Gongo, registration number 257,389A, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 6th level, is appointed Director of Maintenance and Equipment. Mr. Dioyabadi Lompo, registration number 35,962 million, Certified High School and College Teacher, 1st class, 14th level, is appointed Director of the August 4th Stadium. Mr. Alexandra Zono, registration number 208,174T, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 9th level, is appointed Director of Training and Regulation. Mr. Lansina Siri, registration number 342,372 million, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 4th level, is appointed Director of Leisure Activities Promotion. Mr. Abu Traore, registration number 98,186T, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 7th level, is appointed Director of Sports and Leisure Economy Promotion. Mr. Ledia Geoffroy Ouedraogo, registration number 208,173D, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 9th level, is appointed Director of School and University Sports. Mr. Yira Jean Udez Hien, registration number 208,176 million, Certified Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 10th level, is appointed Director of High-Level Sports. Mr. Soumaila Traore, registration number 208,179. A, Physical Education and Sports Teacher, 1st class, 9th level, is appointed Permanent Secretary of the Tour du Faso. Mrs. Rain Anik Kando, registration number 211,764F, Youth and Lifelong Education. Advisor, 1st class, 9th level, is appointed Study Officer. Mr. Sibiri Armand Apollinaire Compaore, registration number 97,599C, Youth and Lifelong Education Advisor, 1st class, 7th level, is appointed Study Officer. Mr. Musa Konde, registration number 25,814 million, Certified High School and College Teacher, 1st class, 14th level, is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Boucle du Mouhoun. Mr. Kambatiere Arsène Somme, Registration number 117,241J. Physical Education and Sports Teacher. First class, 11th level. Is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Cascades. Mr. Khalifa Zono. Registration number 227,638D. Certified Physical Education and Sports Teacher. First class, 8th level. Is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Center. Mr. Bouma Banao. Registration number 85,217M. Certified Physical Education and Sports Teacher First Class, 9th level, is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Center Est. Mr. Madhu Koulibaly. Registration number 236,370N. Certified Physical Education and Sports Teacher, First Class, 7th level, is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Center Nord. Mr. Akiwele Christophe Idogo. Registration number 218,645B. Physical Education and Sports Teacher, First Class, 9th level, is appointed Regional Director of Sports and Leisure for Center Ouest. 3.2. Appointments to Administrative Boards. The Council proceeded with the appointment of administrators to the boards of the Military Health Insurance Fund, CAMA, under the Ministry of Defense and Veterans, the Burkina Faso Railway Heritage Management Company, SOPAFER-B, under the Ministry of Infrastructures and Opening Up. The Council also appointed chairpersons to the boards of the Military Health Insurance Fund, CAMA, and the Burkina Faso Railway Heritage Management Company, SOPAFERB, a Ministry of Defense and Veterans. The Council adopted two decrees. The first decree appoints Mr. Alexis Dit Basole Bassono, officer, as State Administrator, representing the Ministry of Defense and Veterans on the board of the Military Health Insurance Fund, CAMA, for a first term of 3 years. The second decree appoints Mr. Alexis Dit Basole Bassono, officer, as Chairperson of the Board of the Military Health Insurance Fund, CAMA, for a first term of 3 years. B. Ministry of Infrastructures and Opening Up. The Council adopted two decrees. The first decree appoints Mr. Olo Palemfo, officer, as State Administrator, representing the Ministry of Infrastructures and Opening Up on the board of the Burkina Faso Railway Heritage Management Company, SOPAFER-B, for a first term of 3 years. The second decree appoints Mrs. Ka Jocelina Sonia Kabore Ouagadougou, registration number 205,537 East, Civil Engineer, as Chairperson of the Board of the Burkina Faso Railway Heritage Management Company, SOPAFER-B, for a first term of 3 years, replacing Mr. Leandre Zephiran Bakiono. End of the minutes of the Council of Ministers meeting on March 5, 2025.